Okay, good evening, everybody. I know we've still got some people that are logging on, but I appreciate it's 6 o'clock and I appreciate an awful lot of you have arrived on time. Can I say good evening? It is kind of like lovely to see you all, although I can't see you all, but thank you very much for turning up this evening. Mr. Vasey is going to be leading most of this evening and taking you through the Key Stage 3 options. I'll be around and just monitoring the chat bar. So if you've got a query, please put a question into the chat bar at the bottom. I will do my utmost to answer it as the evening progresses. And if I can't do it straight away, then I will obviously send you further information once I've been able to liaise with Mr. Vasey at the end of the evening. So that's enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Vasey and let him carry on from here. Okay then, thank you, bye.
Thanks very much, Mr. Darby. Okay, can you all hear me? Can I ask you to give me a thumbs up? Because I can see some faces. Fabulous, look at that, loads of thumbs up, brilliant, thank you very much. So hopefully you can hear me and you can see my screen which says Key Stage 3 options. Can you give me a wave if you can see that? Because that way it won't be the same thing. Yes, okay, brilliant. Okay, so starting off with, it's lovely to see lots of smiling faces and you hopefully eager to find out what this is all about for you. And for mums and dads and guardians and grandparents and probably dogs, cats and everybody else who can hear, hello to you too, and hopefully this is helpful information for you too. But this process is really about empowering your son and daughter to be able to make the choices for them, the things that are right for them. And we're going to go through that process today and explain what will happen. Hopefully at the end there'll be a chance for some questions. Hopefully there won't be too many and I've explained most of it. But if there are, please do keep those questions going into the chat bar as you go along, or you can wait at the end and absolutely anyone can ask a question at that point. There will be an opportunity for that. Okay, so the first thing is Key Stage 3 options. So what are our Key Stage 3 options process and why are we doing it now? So the first thing, as you can see here from these lovely little gingerbread men, is that no child is the same. Every single one of you are unique and special in your own rights, and you have your own unique gifts and talents and skills. And what we really want to do is empower that. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to do things that make you sparkle and shine and make you be the best version of yourself. So there are a few things for us to think about. There are the idea of our new Gcse curriculum with our new 9-to-1 exams. Now for you and I who potentially went through GCSEs or maybe even O-levels a long time ago, our 9-to-1 exams are tougher, and there's no lie about that. There is more to learn and there's more to do in the exams at the end. Okay, so there's no getting away from that. That is the reality for our young people. Now that's brilliant because it means they're better than us. It means that they're more skilled and more talented. And I know that all of you will go on to do far better things than I've managed to do and hopefully be even better than your parents, if that's possible. Okay, but it is something we've got to be able to work towards. We recognize that those terminal exams are more challenging and obviously it's a lot to manage. We also recognize that there is a large, overwhelming number of people who have mental health issues, and we have to balance those. We have to make sure that we're supporting you. And you might know that today, or yesterday, in fact, we launched our Are You OK campaign in school about mental health and about saying it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be on the top or on the very best that you can be all of the time, but we really want to try and help you to be there. We want to teach you the skills so that you can develop the ways to be the best version of yourself. And we also want to hopefully enable you to become the most brilliant members of the community that you can contribute and put back positively into your local area, wherever that might be, things that you love doing with hopefully your friends and your loved ones and your relatives, so that hopefully that one day you might be in a position where you could give to someone else and benefit from your skills. They could hopefully benefit from what you have too. So that's our kind of dream. It's our long-term development aim, and that's the why. That's the why we're trying to do these things. And so the question is, why now? Well, you've had 2 years in year 7 and 8, and let's have a look at what that looked like. So far in year 6, you have been looking at this. This has been your curriculum diet, so to speak. You've had 2 hours every 2 weeks. So we have a 2-week timetable. So you've had 2 hours every 2 weeks of religious studies, 7 hours of English, 7 of maths, 6 hours of science, 4 hours of languages, 2 of art, 4 hours of design, 3 hours of geography, 3 of history, 2 of computing, music and expression, and 4 of core PE and 2 of PSHE. So that is the diet that everyone's had. And you've been in tutor groups throughout this whole time, always working with your same tutors. So right now, what we're saying is that we want to give you the power to choose some aspects of your curriculum. Now, this isn't the same as maybe if you've got older brothers or sisters. It's not the same as what maybe they have done. If you have got an older brother or sister in year 9 now, it is the same process as they did. But if they are any older than that, it's slightly different. And so I'm going to go through both of these processes, hopefully so you understand them both and know what's happening this year and what's going to happen next year. So you get to understand what we're choosing about now and what you'll be choosing about next year. So in year 9, what we want to do is we want to give you the power to choose 20% of your curriculum. Okay, so that's 20% is down to you. You get to decide what it is that you want to specialize in, what it is that you want to go and explore more about, how you want to develop your skills. Now that's going to build different skills. There's your independence just from having that choice and understanding that actually the things you decide to invest your time in, you get better at. There's the skills of collaboration, working with new people, and there's also that ability to build friendships and work in harmony with others. That's what employers want. That's what careers are made for. So that's really important. So what does it look like? Well, in year 9, the first bits that are important are those key aspects, just like we had before in year 7 and 8. We've got religious studies, where you will be starting your GCSEs. We've got English, again, where you'll start your GCSE English during year 9. The same is true for maths and for science. So for maths, science, English, and RS, you will be starting your GCSEs. But in geography and history and core PE and PSHE, those are still subjects that are part of your Key Stage 3 curriculum, and we know are really important to developing a whole rounded version of an individual. But what you can probably see is there's quite a big section there missing, and this is where you have that control. So the first part is a language. So far, you've been made to do French or Spanish at different points. You now get to choose, which do you want to do most? Do you want to do French for the year, or do you want to do Spanish for the year? Not everybody will have a preference. And if you don't, on the form, it does say, I don't mind. But we're asking you to choose the one you think is the best for you. The next thing that we're really wanting is for you to choose an arts course. We know that arts are really important, and right now in our post-pandemic world, we're knowing that having arts is a really good way of developing a rounded individual, and it's really good for your mental health too. So pushing the arts isn't something that we should feel bad about, but we want everybody to choose one arts course. You can choose more if you want to. Then there are options 2 and 3, where again you get 2 hours for each of these, so that's an hour each week, where you can choose from any of the options course. It could be more arts courses, or it could be something else, and I'll show you what those options are, and that makes your full 50 hours. So as you can see in those orange, yellow and green boxes, that is 10 hours worth of time, which is 20% of your curriculum. That's what you're choosing, and you're getting to control what's going to happen next year. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for a second because I know I've said a lot of information, and let you take that bit in. Okay, so before I show you what options you have and how you're going to go about making this process, I'm actually going to talk to you about what will happen next year. So when you get to year 9, you're going to have another options process, and that will be choosing your Key Stage 4 subjects. And so then you get even more ability to choose what you're going to do. So this is like a stepping stone along the way. It's building that level of determination of what you want. So in year 10, you're going to have your option subjects for GCSE and Btec level courses. So whilst you will already have started some of your GCSEs, as we talked about, this will then enable you to choose your specific GCSE subjects that you'll get a qualification in. And we've actually given more time to this in year 10 and 11. So your option subjects, those 3 choices that you make, will actually have more time. So to give that a bit of a context, again, we'll have religious studies, and you'll see that there's 5 hours in year 10 and there's no hours in year 11. And that's because you're actually going to do your GCSE for religious studies at the end of year 10. You're going to do it early to give yourself more time to focus on that, and so that then you can focus on your other subjects in year 11. So effectively you're doing your GCSE through year 9 and 10, and then it's done, and that's one's in the bag. You've got that one to keep forever. And your English, maths, science, they're going to happen at the end of year 11. So those ones are the ones that you have to do. That's what the national curriculum says. We have to do those things. But in year 10, you're able to choose one EBAC option. So I will show you what those EBAC options are in a second, but you have to choose an EBAC, and then you have 2 other options. And so as you can see, this actually makes up now 40% of your overall curriculum. So if you add up all those hours together, actually 40% you choose in 10 and 11, and it's 20% that you're choosing in year 9. Okay. So again, I'll leave that on there. All of this, by the way, will be put onto the website. I'll show you at the end. Okay, all of it will be there for you to look back on later on, but it is hopefully starting the process rather than you need to memorize it. Okay, it's enabling you to know what it will, and next year we'll explain it again for you, but I just want to make sure you know what you're choosing for, where it's going. Okay, so the one little thing that's popped up there at the end is that if you are someone who triple science is the right thing for you, we are going to invest extra time in you after school, and we're going to give you an extra hour every single week in order to help you achieve the extra demands of triple science. So triple science has more content, and so we know we need a bit more time to be able to deliver that to you. If you're doing combined science, you can probably get through and be really successful with the hours that we've put into the curriculum as a starting point. But if it's triple science is the right option for you, then that extra time comes after school each week. And obviously those teachers will be there to help you through that process. So what does it look like? Well, hopefully you can now start to see, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Can anyone see my mouse? Can you give it a thumbs up? Yeah, you can start to see that. So hopefully you can start to see here. So this is called our core curriculum. And so this is English and maths. And as you'll see here, these different rows, they're showing the different starting points that people had in primary school. So here we've got those who were below 90 in their standardized score and those who are above 110. And so this is basically a continuum. 80 is the lowest score from primary school and 120 is the highest score. So you can kind of see the row that might be right for you. And again, this is for next year. So we're providing this guidance now so you know what to look for. But you can see that we have those who might need a bit more guidance and a bit more help, and they're going to get that extra help. And those who might have a very much higher level of score from primary school might be expected to do a few more things. So for example, we've got here encouraging them to do a language as one of their options, because that's generally considered a good skill set to have. But equally, we recognize that that can be a difficult challenge to take on. So to carry on following these columns through, you'll see here for English, there are in actual fact 4 exams at the end of year 11. In maths, there are 3 exams. In science, there's 6. Okay, now there's 6, whether you do combined science or triple science, not 6 and then 6 more. There is still 6, but if you do combined science, they are an hour and 15 minutes each. And if you do triple science, they are an hour and 45 minutes each. So they happen at the same time. It's just that obviously if you're doing triple, you have to sit a little bit longer and you have a bit more to answer in the papers. So there are 2 GCSEs you get for science, or a third one if you do triple. And then there is your options. So you can see here, we've got option 1, which is from the EBAC suite, and they are a language, computer science, geography, and history. So you must choose one of these. You can choose more than one in these other columns, but you must choose one of those. And then the open group, that's where you can choose any of the other subjects. And I'll show you those in a second. And as you can see here, we've also got religious studies, which we're going to do early. So these 2 exams will be taken at the end of year 10. But if you add this up, you can see all the way along here, that's 22 exams. Okay, that's a lot of exams that you guys are going to have to do by the end of year 11. So getting this right is really important for you, because you're going to have to put that work in from now all the way through to the end of year 11. So we really want to make sure that we get the right subjects for you, so that actually you feel confident that you're going into the right subjects and you are really enjoying that process. Okay, so we can come back to this if anyone has any more questions about it, but this is about year 10 and 11. So I want to move on from this, but I'll just show you what subjects you might be picking from in year 10, or sorry, in year 9 for year 10. So these are the current range of subjects that we have for our year 10 and 11 curriculum. And as you can see, there's a lot. We're very lucky at Rawlings, being a really big school. We have a lot on offer. So there are the EBAC options, which we talked about before, down this side. And these might be considered your more academic. There might be more content and knowledge and certainly more exams. And then this side, over this side, is your more vocational courses, which are more of your hands-on coursework style courses, where there might be assessments through the year, and there might therefore be more work that you can do whilst you're going along, and it's not all related to an end of the year exam. But you can see there are a few that are in here that have got a star beside them. And where they've got a star beside them, these are ones that if you want to do in year 10, we would really, really recommend you choose in year 9. So that, for example, might be GCSE music. And that's because if you want to do GCSE music, you really need to have a musical instrument that you can play. And if you take a year without playing that musical instrument, we all know what happens if we don't practice. It's probably not going to sound as good as it could do if you carry on playing throughout year 9. So that's a recommendation. It doesn't mean you have to, and doesn't mean you must, but it's a recommendation that we wanted to put out there. And it's the same is true for computer science as well. Being out of that practice, not getting all that information through year 9 will put you at a disadvantage, which you can catch up on, but we don't want you to have to do that if you can choose not to. So this is the overall choice throughout that process, but I appreciate that that's not the choices you have this year, but it might be some of the things you might want to choose in terms of, so I can get to those. Okay, so what are my Key Stage 3 options then for this year? So what do I actually get to choose from this year? So we've said 20% of the curriculum is what you get to choose from. Okay, we've got our 4 language, our arts, and our 2 other options. Okay, so hopefully you'll see coming up on your screen, these are the options you're going to choose from. So language, you can choose from French or Spanish. In your options for art, you can choose art, dance, drama, D&T, or music. In your option 2, you can choose from any of those original ones. So any of those, you can have another one, or you can choose from an additional set of subjects, which are computing, nutrition, sports leaders, and media and film. So in so doing, you could have 3 of these subjects from the arts, or you could have 1 of these and 2 from everywhere else, and that's fine. Obviously, we want to give everyone their first choice, but it can be, with everyone, 240 people wanting to choose, it can be that we can't make that work perfectly for everybody. So we ask everyone to just choose a reserve. And again, it can be any option you've not yet chosen, but the option that would be your backup. Last year, 95% of people got their first choice for all 3. So it is only a very small percentage of people that don't, but we do just want to make sure that we have that backup just in case, so that should we not be able to make it work for you, that we can have another option up our sleeves that can help you to make sure you still get the subjects you like. Okay, so that will come back up again in a second. I will put it back on, but the Key Stage 3 option process enables you to choose 20% of your curriculum, and we want to ensure you have all the information. No. So where can you get to help you? So the first thing is that we have now created a school website page where we have got a virtual video for every single subject. I'll show you where that page is afterwards. So you can go and watch the video for each one. They're about 4 minutes long for each, and you can see, right, which of these do I want? Which one do I like best? And hopefully that's been, certainly it was very successful for our year 12s, for our students choosing for their A-levels. I think it's been very successful so far for the year 9s for choosing for year 10, and we hope it'll be very successful for you too, but I'll wait for your feedback when you fill in the form. Number 2, we have scheduled this process to work around parents' evening. So you might have already started booking your parents' evening appointments for next week. If you haven't, I strongly urge you to go and do that, because the earlier you book, the more likely you are to get the times all together that will work for you. But you are going to do that from home again, so it's all online, which has been, again, very successful. So you can then ask your subject teachers anything that you might want to know about those subjects. And there's obviously your form tutors and head of year who you could ask for advice to during that time. So you've got form time, you've got your subject lessons, you've got virtual parents evening, and you've got the videos. That's a lot of information to help you choose. And so we don't want to rush you with this. We are going to give you over a week, almost 10 days, to be able to make your choice. So when you are ready, and it does not have to be until literally the deadline, so it could be Sunday night, okay, we need you to go to the webpage and click on the online form. And as you click on it, this link here will take you to it in a minute. it will then allow you to fill it in and help you to make those choices. But the deadline is Monday the 26th. So that means you have got 11 days. So you've got not Monday coming, you've got a week after that. So you've got all of next week to speak to your teachers. You've got parents' evening, you've got tutor time, you've got your head of year, and you're welcome to email me should you have any questions. But we're hopefully going to help all of you to have made great choices by that point. Okay, so at this point, I now get to say, right, do you have any questions? So if there are any questions and you want to unmute yourself, then please feel to do so. I'm aware that a few chat questions have gone up. I'm not sure how many have been answered. So anyone would like to ask a question at this stage, please feel free to unmute and ask away.
Hello, Mr. Vasey. Can I chip in with a question?
Yes. Hi.
Hello. It's from my daughter, actually. It's just about computer science.
Yeah.
And where that fits with, do they have to do it, or is it an option?
So computer science is an option. So computing and ICT is an option for all pupils. However, computing is a skill that's really important. So we very much encourage people to do that, but there is computing elements in Key Stage 4 in most subjects. So if that's something that they want to take on to a higher level, then choosing computer science is really important. But if it's just building the skills for a life that we now have online, like right now, then obviously those skills are built within other subjects too. So it really comes down to the individual's choice as to whether or not they really want to take that computer science qualification forwards. And if they do, then absolutely we recommend choosing that now. If it is that they're not sure, then I would say take it, because it's a brilliant skill to have. And if it's that you are really certain that's not what you want, then clearly choose the things that you do want, because that is the process that hopefully we're going through now. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. I think there's been a bit of a COVID impact with some subjects, that one included, where because there has been less practical exposure to the subject, it's perhaps harder for the children to make an informed choice for those that they've had, where COVID has impacted. Yeah,
so I hope if you have a look at the video, then you can probably see that Miss Johnson, who is hiding behind, I don't know what they're called, where they effectively have a magical mask that moves around with you. I believe that I'm sure most of you can do it. Where you turn yourself into a cat, that kind of idea. She has one of those on her face during the video. It's beyond me. Clearly, it's something that you probably might love doing. So if you do want to go and do that, then definitely choose that subject. Do you have any other questions?
Thank you very much. Very good presentation. Really good. Thank you very much.
That's okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions?
Just one question from me. Is this going to be put online?
Yes. So I will show you that in a second, but yes, this presentation will be online and all that information is on there too. And that's my last thing to show you, is I'll show you where to get that on the website. So I'll show you that in a second.
Excellent.
Can I also just say, I'm trying to get these questions, and I apologise if I've not replied to everybody just yet. I'm doing them obviously individually, so please bear with us, and if necessary, I will email people as well. If you make clear as to which child you are the parent of, then we can actually go through from there as well, but I will keep working through the individual ones. All right.
Thank you, Miss. Any other questions? I can see there's a thumbs up. Alison, is that a question you have?
Yes, please. Somebody else has asked this question on the chat, but obviously it's not quite yet answered by Claire. What will happen, obviously, with the COVID restrictions for practical subjects, say for D&T and anything like that with COVID, and if we have to shut down schools again, what's your plan?
So that's a great question, and do you know what, it's not just you as a parent, it's teachers as well who have had to be managing around that situation who are asking that question too. Sadly, there isn't yet a definitive answer, but we have already talked about it at SLT, and if I hopefully Miss Darby won't mind me sharing our couple of thoughts. There are some aspects of where we've ended up with COVID that we think are great and we'd really like to continue. And there are other aspects that clearly, just like you're saying, restrictions on working spaces like the workshop or science labs that really don't help. And so should we still have COVID restrictions with bubbles, we are going to be more careful, and I appreciate that I'm the person responsible for it, so I should probably not criticize myself too heavily, but try and make sure there's more opportunities for science labs to be included into the Key Stage 3 bubbles and workshop time to be rotated in so that there is that opportunity. Now, it won't be all of the time because clearly there still are some restrictions, but we hope that we could develop that, and some of the work we might do over the summer holidays might develop the chances that we have of doing that a bit better, building new walls to make different spaces, for example. So there are some things that we're trying to do to make that, should unfortunately we still be in the same situation. I can't tell you what it's going to be, and I would love to say it's definitely all behind us, but I think that would be slightly cloud thinking, and we're probably not quite there yet. So we are planning for both eventualities, and I appreciate that those have been restrictions we've all had to work through. So I thank everybody for working with us, and certainly the teachers for planning completely different things this year, given that they haven't had those opportunities in the same way.
All right, thank you for that.
That's okay. Any other questions?
Hello, it's David. I've just got a question, if that's okay.
That's fine.
There seems to have been lots of chat whilst you've been doing the presentation, and thank you for doing the presentation. It's been difficult to keep up with, but the one topic that seems to have dominated from what I can see is the religious studies. And I just think with everyone being on this presentation on Zoom with yourself there and Claire Derby, it would be helpful to talk that through rather than try and answer questions separately via email.
Okay.
What I pick up from the response from Miss Derby is that there's been some consultation with previous years' parents and the governors, but I think you know, summarising what I've read, then it doesn't appear there's been any consultation with year 8 parents, and it apparently appears that there's been some sort of statement made in school today or over the last few days saying that you know, Rawlins is going to be a more religious studies school based on its original origins. So personally, I'd like to understand it a bit more, and I don't think I'm the only one from what I've seen from the messages. I guess it just seems as though 4 or 5 hours every 2-week period, I think it was on your summary, that seems a lot of time when we're talking about whether computer studies should be an option or compulsory. And you could argue in today's world, you know, sort of rightly or wrongly, that it's more important to have some computer studies skills in terms of Zoom and, you know, moving into the technological world we are, rather than having a full understanding of all the religions.
And so I can answer 2 parts of those, and please don't take this in any other way as me trying to share that information. So the reality is we are a Church of England school, and as a Church of England school we have a legal requirement which, without meaning to be rude to the predecessors that have been at the school, they have not been fulfilling. So we have a legal requirement for all of our children, a statutory requirement to follow RS. Now, we don't believe that that's something that we are doing just because it's on the badge. I genuinely believe that actually, whilst I appreciate computing is an absolutely valuable skill, the skills that are covered in RS are absolutely the most valuable, because it's about understanding each other, and it's about those interpersonal skills, which, and I don't mean this in any sense of negativity at all, but with the super heightened levels of issues that the media keep presenting that are post-pandemic issues that effectively are drawn out of some of the inequalities that exist across society, not just in this country, but in many other countries. Actually, RS gives a platform for that understanding of each other, that tolerance, that interaction, and that understanding of each other's starting points that is helpful regardless of your religious starting points. I guess I hope that you understand that we put together, hopefully, the very best curriculum for every child, but that we don't invest in that time just because we think, oh, this is something we've got to do. We invest in that time because it's genuinely something that we see as a need, and it's something that through reviews we've actually seen is missing for our young people. Now, actually, for all of our year 7s and 8s, they've had RS through their year 7 and 8, and it's perfectly normal to them, and they see the benefit of it because it is such a powerful starting point to look at and look through the prism of other people's experiences. But I do appreciate it's different to what's happened previously, and I do appreciate that with that comes that idea of why has that change existed. And all I can say is I don't know what happened previously, but I do know why we're now doing it, and I think it's a really, really positive thing for all of our young people. Does that help to answer that question? I don't know if I've missed any bits out, but does that help to?
I just think if I can just reiterate as well, in the discussions that we had both with governors and with parents in the previous year groups, because obviously when you make a curriculum change, it impacts all the way down. One of the discussions was that actually, you know, we are conscious that the new GCSEs are extremely stressful, and we've noticed as they've become more embedded that our young people actually get quite anxious about taking a GCSE and what that entails. And one of the discussions was that by bringing RS forward and having more lessons maybe in year 9 and 10, it enabled an early GCSE, and so experience for our young people to actually trial a GCSE when they've only got one to worry about rather than 9 subjects with 20 plus exams. And that actually that got them more confident to be able to then go through the following year as well. So there were a multitude of reasons as to why we took that on board.
Does that help answer your question, or is there further that we've not yet addressed?
No, so that context was really helpful, thank you. I guess it sounds like there's a bit of history to the decision that's had to be made, but I'm just picking up some of the earlier questions, and I guess you could argue you've gone from 0 to 100%, I suppose, and the current year 8 are the first cohort to get to that 100%. But certainly there's a number of people that believe that religious studies is required, and it probably is, but I think it's from the messages I saw earlier on, it's the extent or the number of hours that I think it's been attributed to that I think might cause a bit of
so I can answer that one too. So the government says that we must have 25% of the curriculum, sorry, 5% of the curriculum must be given to RS. And so in order to do that, that is exactly what's been given. So 5 hours in year 10 is then 5% across year 10 and 11. So that's the reason, again, that it meets exactly that, no more and no less. But it gives those students, hopefully, that really positive, an extra hour in year 10 just as they come up to that exam. So again, they can focus in on it being at that stage rather than it being in the year 9 that way round. So again, it has been thought through, and I appreciate that it's different, and maybe I should have explained that more in the first instance, and that would have helped a little bit more. But thank you for the question, because ultimately I think everybody will have been asking something similar, certainly by the sounds of things from the chat. Okay, right. So at this point, I think that most people have asked questions, but as I said, and I'll also show you on the next screen, if you do have any questions, then what I'd ask you to do is to email me. So inquiries@rawlingsacademy.org.uk. And if you put, for attention of Mr. Vasey, Key Stage 3 options, I know that it's really important to you guys in the very short time frame. So I will get back to you as a high priority to make sure I can answer any questions you still have. So please do make sure you pass them on to me. That's no problem at all. But I'm going to show you, you can see a few people are just writing that down. So I'll just make sure you've had a chance. I'm going to show you where to look on the website, so you can go and have a look right now, because it's live right now. Everything's there for you to see straight away. So I'm going to move it on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you go to our web page, which is Rawlings Academy, and if you look at the top here, it says pupils, there is a Key Stage 3 options page. And so if you click on that, it will take you to this page, as you can see behind. It says, welcome to our Key Stage 3 options. And if you scroll down through there, there is the online form for you to be able to click on and submit your answers. Remember, the deadline is the 26th of April. It doesn't have to be done until then. So use your time to make sure you've decided and you've got your thoughts in line. One question that did come up just before I move on is that what happens if I change my mind? Maybe I submit it on Friday and I've changed my mind and I really want to change it on Sunday. All we ask you to do is fill in the form again. You can fill in the form as many times as you like, but we'll choose the last option that you put in there. So if you've changed your mind, we'll effectively delete out any of the earlier ones and we'll just choose your final choice. Okay, so if you do change your mind, you can absolutely just go back in again and fill it in again. If you keep going down the page, it then says there'll be the link to the presentation, which will be uploaded hopefully by tomorrow morning. The IT team obviously aren't in work right now. So that'll be on there tomorrow, so you can have a look at that. And then if you keep going down further, at the very bottom, it says click next page. And if you click on next page, that's where it takes you to all the videos, so you can see each of those subject pages. Okay, so Rawlings Academy, click on the link pupils and Key Stage 3 options, and everything is there for you. But if you do have any questions, remember, you've got your tutor and your head of year. You've got your subject, including those parents' evenings that might be tomorrow, on Tuesday, but you could be booking them tomorrow. And you've got that possibility of emailing me if you still have any questions that haven't yet been asked or that haven't been addressed. And we'll obviously try and get back to you as soon as we can. So at this point, does anyone else have any more questions? Kate, you've got your hand up. Yes, Kate.
Sorry, just a question around the triple science. So why is that now extracurricular rather than being an option?
Okay, so again, this is historical. Unfortunately, the decision was made a number of years ago to put every student into triple, and that was really not a good outcome for them. Equally, then there was a massive swing the other way where then no one wanted to do triple because they felt it was all going to be really bad. So what we're now trying to do is to try and really make sure that everyone who has the right skill set to do triple and can benefit from it, they can do triple. And everyone who would have the best possibility of success doing combined science, they can do it. So effectively, it means everyone can do the right thing for them rather than it being, okay, it must just be this or it must just be that. And in fact, we've seen that even with my class this year. I teach year 11 at the moment. And for a number of them, they've actually changed just at this last stage between the two to make sure they get the right option for them. And so it's really about making sure we get the best options for each child and it maximizes their chance of success rather than it being anything that's been effectively preordained and we've ended up in this situation and they don't have any choice. So I hope that helps to answer, but it really is well thought through, clever design, if that makes sense. And the science team who we're teaching at period 6 have dedicated that time to try and make sure they make it work the best they can for the pupils.
Yeah, I'm not sure that kind of answers why it can't be an option.
Oh, okay. So it's not an option. So effectively, it doesn't need to be an option. So they can do that on top of everything else. Or they can decide not to do that. Does that make sense?
No, because you're making them do 2 art topics rather than potentially 1 art and 1 triple science.
So historically, students have had 4 options, and so triple was one of those. And so now what they have is 3 options, and triple is on top of that. So effectively, it's exactly the same. For those who want to do triple, they can still have exactly the same entries as their maybe older brothers or sisters in year 11 right now. But for those who don't want to do triple and who triple isn't the right thing for them, they don't have more exams. They've got the right number of exams for them to be successful rather than being overwhelmed with extra exams. So it's really, again, looking at where is it the best way that we can make it work for our children, and that knowing that not every child will be progressing in a straight line, that actually there might be changes to their development, and that's okay, and we can roll with that process. And the key thing here is that triple doesn't start, those extra hours don't start until year 10, but what we use is all of your data through year 9 to be able to say you've been doing brilliant in science in year 9, and therefore we would really recommend that you do triple. And for those who potentially you've been doing brilliant, but actually the right option for you is to do combined, we would recommend that to you as well. So that will become as part of that process through the year 9 to be able to create that option. So I hope that helps answer, but I appreciate that that might be a nuanced response that doesn't necessarily answer all those questions. Is there anything more that you'd like to know? Okay, so I can't hear anything further, sorry, Kate, so I'm going to assume that you're okay with that. Sorry, I saw you put your hand up again. Do you have a question?
No, it was just to follow on what was just being said. With regards to the triple science, does that mean that by the time they get to year 10, looking at the data from years 8 and 9, you'll only accept them onto the triple science? Because if they wanted to do triple science, but you don't think that they could do triple science, or be it extracurricular or be it in their own time, does that mean that they're not eligible, or does that mean that they can just
so if you
anyway? That's
okay. So if you look at the video for the science, you'll see Miss Mary explains this really well. But effectively, there's kind of a line around a grade 6 potentially, where doing triple science and above, if that's your target grade for GCSE, then it potentially is in your advantage to do that. But actually, if you're below that, then actually it's in your advantage to do combined science. And so what we need to do is make sure that we get the right pupils on the right grade, so they get the best chance of getting the best grades. And so it's not about saying that you can or you can't, it's about saying where are you going to be most successful, and about fitting that to the pupil. And I'm not about to tell you in the middle of a pandemic that every child must be here or must be there, but what I can say is that actually that line moves for everybody, and we need to make sure that we give everyone a chance to prove themselves and say, look, I've been doing this, therefore I want that opportunity. Or actually say, no, actually this is as good as I can do, this is where I'm going to be best, I want to go in the one that I do best in. And that process doesn't change really for triple and for combined. So within triple science, they learn 25% extra things, but they still do biology, chemistry and physics. They still have to do all of the same basic information. It's just in triple, they learn a bit extra, and they're examined in a lot extra detail. So they have a 100-mark paper as opposed to a 70-mark paper, and they have an hour and 45 exam with a much higher literacy demand. So it's really important that we match that to the pupils' skill set, so that actually they're not overwhelmed by that and they can be the most successful they can be. And I guess that's what we've tried to create as a platform there for pupils to perform at their best. And I hope that holds true when this comes to fruition in year 11.
Cheers, sir. Thank you very much.
That's okay. Kat, you've got your hand up now.
Thanks, Mr. Bosey. You know the options that you've put forward, so such as nutrition and sports leaders, they don't then translate into a GCSE the following year, do they?
So they do. So nutrition is hospitality and catering. That is it's actually a Btec course, but it's a level 2 equivalent of a GCSE. And sports leaders is there is the GCSE PE course, and then there's obviously an A-level PE course too. So again, they transfer in. It's just that they are courses that effectively a qualification or a certificate for what they've been doing is achieved within year 9 as well. So they're written within that context, that actually those pupils within year 9 actually get something, they've achieved something, even though they might not choose to go on to do that. Equally, if they do, then they might get a further qualification at level 2 level, at that GCSE equivalent level.
Great, thanks.
That's okay. Any other questions? At which point, if we have no more, then I'm going to say thank you very much, everybody. If you do have any more questions, then you are more than welcome to ask. And if you want to stay on at the end because you want to ask any questions a little bit more without everyone else being there, I will happily wait here and be here till the end. But that website is ready to go. So hopefully some of you can go and start having a look at those videos and you'll get a feeling of what each of those subjects might entail. And at that point, I'm going to say thank you very much. Good evening. And it's been lovely to see you all. And thank you for the great questions. Thank you very much. I'm going to wave to everybody. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.